Well, the attendees number are slowing down, so I think we can get started. Welcome to NPAC's learning webinar focusing on data management tools. A couple of housekeeping notes. We are recording this and you will be able to find the link in our knowledge base. If you have questions during the presentation, please enter it in the Q&A below. We do have Leanne standing by to be able to answer any questions for us. So today, Robin will be covering a number of data management tools to help you in your day-to-day business processes, including duplicate reports, system integrity, and cleanup efforts. Again, don't worry about taking notes. Remember, we are recording this for you. So I'm Amy Strom, the Director of Client Success here at NPAC, and today you'll be hearing from Robin as she reviews these data management tools. And like I mentioned, we do have Leanne available for questions as well. So with that, I'll pass this on to Robin to get us started. Take it away, Robin.
Thanks, Amy. Let me just share my screen so you can see my FIMS. Okay, can you see my FIMS? Did I share the right screen, Amy?
I see a green screen, but no FIMS yet. I see your mouse moving around though.
Got it. Okay, I picked the wrong one. Sorry, folks. Got it. Okay, now you should see my FIMS.
Now we do.
Awesome. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. And before I get started on the presentation, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that I have recently posted out on the Thinkific training for FIMS. I've added 3 new video classes out there. And just as a reminder, these are free to everybody. You just have to create a login to get access to them. So the 3 videos that I have put out there recently is Introduction to the Interfund module, Introduction to FieldMaker, and using interfunds through Donor Central. So I basically cover the pieces of how you need to set up FIMS and then what it looks like on the Donor Central side. So those are out there under Thinkific and available to everybody to watch. Okay, so we're going to look at some data management tools today. Essentially, these are tools that can be used to help keep your data clean in FIMS. One thing I probably can't stress strongly enough that a lot of these tools are making permanent changes. They may be updating lots of records. You might be deleting lots of records. So any of the stuff that you're going to try, if you're just not sure that it's going to do what you want it to do, or you want to see what it will do, you should try these in your test and learn before you actually do this on any of your live data. And that pretty much goes for most of the tools that I'm going to mention today. So the first one that I'm going to start with is the duplicate profile report in the profile module. That is available to you under reports, and it's duplicate profile report. So there's lots of different ways that you can run this duplicate profile report. The first way is you can compare either the organization name or the last name. So you would definitely need to run it more than once for both of those. And then you also get the short version or the long version. So basically the short version just gives you the ID code, whether the profile's an individual or an organization, the username of the person who last changed the profile, and the date when it was changed. So that's on the short report. On the long format, you get the additional information of the mailing address and the telephone number. So depending on what you want to see, you can run it either the short version or the long version. This is what's going to happen. These next 2 items, basically the profiles are going to be ignored and not included in the duplicate profile report if they have either one of those relationship records. You also have the ability to create relationship records for possible duplicates. So if you don't have a relationship of possible duplicate in your code table and you want to use this, you'll need to create that relationship record first. So FIMS will go through and it will tag any possible duplicates. That way you can run a report afterwards and do some due diligence to find out, hey, are these really duplicates and need to be combined, or no, they can be ignored. And then down under the compare address, so this is just checkboxes depending on what you want to compare. So you can compare by default, there's 3 that are checked: line 1 in the address, the zip code, and the prefix. But you can uncheck these depending on what you might like to see. Now, this one right here, I would definitely check compare organization code. And basically what this is doing is if it sees 2 profiles that could possibly be a duplicate, it's actually looking at that individual or organization tag that's on the profile. And if it sees that one's an individual, one's an organization, it will ignore them because they're not the same type of profile record. So I always check that one. And then here you have compare on the first name. You can either compare the first 2 characters or the full name. I kind of recommend the first 2 characters because if you have names that might be spelt a little bit differently, this will pull those in because it's only looking at the first 2 characters versus looking at the full name. And then you can also limit this based on a number of records. And then click yes, we'll run this. And this is what the report actually looks like. So there's 2 columns, the left column, and then if you notice it says matches in between, and then there is another profile on the right hand side. So these are possible duplicates. So this is something that you can print, review it with people in the office to determine whether there really should be duplicates or they're not duplicates and might need to be combined. So this information, my report, I will tell you, my report came up really fast. That's because I don't have, thousands and thousands of profiles in my database, but it could take a while to run if you do have lots of profiles. So this is the duplicate profile report. And like I say, if this is something, you can always copy your live to your test and learn and run it over there. That way, if it's something that's taking a long time, you can continue to work in your live database as well. Now let's see that you run that report and there are profiles that actually need to be combined. We do have a utility to help you with that. And I just needed to minimize so I could see it because my thing is covered up here. So combine 2 profiles. There's actually 2 utilities here. One of them is combine 2 profiles in a batch. To be perfectly honest with you, that one scares the daylights out of me because it is going to make changes based on a relationship record. And it's going to make lots of changes. So if this is one that you wanted to use, you would definitely want to run this in your test and learn database first. The other one is something you have a lot more control over, and that is just combine 2 profiles. So this is literally, you're going to add a copy from profile. And in this case, I am going to use, let's see, copy from 1378, and my copy to is 1230. So you also have here change CC, honor memorial, soft credits, and match ID codes and gift history. So if there's records that are using the copy from ID, you can check this box and it will update those as well. And then you also have the ability to decide what is going to happen with your profile folder. So if you've been using profile folders, you have 5 different options here. Now I'm going to say okay, and it's going to ask me, do I want to delete the copy from profile? So I always say yes here, but again, this is what you might want to test in your test and learn database first. And then it gives me another little message telling me what it's doing. And it tells me the profiles have been combined. I do want to just kind of make you aware that the combine two profiles utility actually moves records from the copy from to the copy to profile. It does not copy information from any of the first three tabs. And the first three tabs are profile 1, profile 2, and salutations. So any changes that you might need to move from the copy from profile, you're going to need to do those manually. And items that will be moved from the copy from profile are alternate addresses, affiliations, contacts, notes, gifts, and grants. So those are information, that's information that will be moved. And if both profiles contain a donor or grantee record, the data contained on that donor or grantee record will not be copied, not be pulled over from the copy from profile. So that's also something that you might want to take a look at and manually move that information before combining and deleting that copy from. It will move the gift and grant history. It'll combine that into the new one, so you don't have to worry about that. If there's a specific notes tab that's included or been used with both of the profiles, what happens is this combine utility will append whatever notes are in that copy from profile to the same notepad in the copy to profile. So those are 4 very important things to kind of remember when you're doing this, because there would be some manual work in moving some of that information to the copy to profile. And then we say okay, and my profiles are combined, and the copy from profile is no longer in my system. All right, the next tool that we're going to look at is dormant profiles. So we've looked at duplicate profiles. Now we're going to take a look at dormant profiles. So you could probably you might not find 2 organizations that consider dormant profiles the same, but under file maintenance, we have dormant profiles. So a dormant profile could be a profile that is in your system, you're not sure why it's there, it doesn't have any affiliation codes, there's no historic records attached, like there's no gifts, there's no grants, things like that. You're just not sure why they're in the database. This particular utility will identify those records. Now, if you notice that it automatically put in a date here, date added less than or date changed less than. So what it's doing is it's going 5 years back to the beginning of that particular year, which is 2019. So it's essentially saying, just to start off with, I don't want to see any records that were added after January 1st of 2019, any profiles that were added, or any changes that were made after January 1st, 2019. This is going to be limited to profiles before that date. In addition to that date range that you also have the ability to check or uncheck any of these boxes. So you can say only look at profiles that have no affiliations, no contact records, no fund associations, no notes, no alternate addresses, no relationships, no promises. So if there's something that you don't want, you just uncheck the box. And then on the other side of this window, it says if they are not a donor, which means they wouldn't have a donor record, they don't have a grantee or a vendor record, they don't have a student record, and they're not a bulk mail recipient. So with all of those choices made, and it's not a bad idea to make note of what your choices are so that after you run it, you know, if you want to run it again a different way, you know the first way that you ran it. So you could always take a quick screenshot of this. And okay, so based on the information, I have 4 profiles in my database that would be considered dormant. So they were all added before 2019. They were not changed after 2019. There's no's to all of these: donor record, grantee record. There's no affiliated records. There's no related record counts. So these are truly dormant. Now, there is in the menu bar up here, it says delete profiles. I would probably recommend printing this report and checking with other folks in your organization just to make sure that they're truly dormant profiles and it's something you want to delete, because there's no undo button here. If you delete these profiles from the database, they're gone. So definitely review with other folks and make sure that they are truly dormant profiles. All right, the next item I'm going to look at here is under Tools, System Utilities, System Reports, and it's the System Integrity Report. So anybody that has been around and maybe implemented Donor Central, you probably recognize this one right here: check Donor Central email validation. What this is going to do, if this is checked, because for Donor Central, you have to have a valid email address in order to be given permission to access Donor Central, this will loop through and it will tell you if there's possible duplicates, because same email can't be used in more than one profile that has access to Donor Central. If there's missing email addresses, that will give you a list so you can then go into the system and fix them. So this system integrity report is going to find things that the user running the report can actually fix by going into the database. This check Donor Central email validation is one of them. And then there's other things in the system that might not be accessible to the user that this utility can actually fix, and you can fix them right from the screen. So you have things like check the profile record, blank fields like blank last name for an individual because that's a required field, or a blank org name, or an invalid profile one or partner email. This is going to check those types of things. It's also going to check profile affiliation. So in the affiliation, there might be a profile missing, a group affiliation might be missing. It'll check your fund associations to make sure all the information is there and correct. It's also going to check your relationships if you want it to, and any of these can be unchecked. So maybe you just want it to check profiles and not do anything else. You just have to uncheck the other boxes. Blank fee codes and document links. And the document links are the links in the document module for linking documents to Donor Central, making sure that those are correct. I'm going to say okay. So this is the report that was generated. So here you can see that I have Donor Central email validation. I have a lot of profiles in my database that I've said have Donor Central access, but don't have an email address. So those would be something that I would need to fix. There are some other, Carolyn Tyler is missing an email as well. Now, if you notice in the menu bar, there's a little menu item called Fix Records. And there are several items under here. If they're grayed out, it means there is no issues with any of that information. But if they're not grayed out, then you can use this tool to actually fix them. and this is what will be fixed. These are only 2 items here. All the rest of my stuff is fine. Document links, fee codes, relationships, and affiliation. And again, this is, there's no undo button for this. So if you're going to click on that fix records and fix that stuff, then you just need to keep in mind that there's no coming back from that. A great tool to help fix these things, but no undo button. All right, the next item that we're going to take a look at is importing address updates. That's also in the profile module under file maintenance. So import address updates started a long time ago. We had customers that wanted to be able to send their data, their profile data, national change of address, get it updated and import it back in so that they didn't have to manually do this all at once. So there's 2 ways that you can actually use this utility. One is to export the information from FIMS, and you could do that right from the data grid. Just make sure that you have your profile ID code in that data grid, because that's how FIMS is going to determine which records, which information needs to be updated when you're importing that. So you can export it, send it off to one of the services that reviews it. Sorry, updates it for you and then sends it back. Or we have some people that will export the information to an Excel spreadsheet. They'll make their own changes in the spreadsheet and then import it back in. So you don't necessarily have to send it to a service, but that's something that you can do if you want to. Okay, so import address updates. If you notice at the bottom left, there is a little button called defaults. And this is a button that's available in lots of different places in FIMS. Basically what it did, I filled in the fields on my import address updates, my mappings, and then I saved it. So for today, I'm going to load the selection for import address updates 2. And if you notice, it plugged in the path to my CSV file. So when you import this, the file has to be in a CSV format, which is easy to do. If you have a spreadsheet, just save it as CSV so that it can be imported. And then it's going to start from row 2, because I have in my first row in my spreadsheet, I have labels. So I know what the columns of information are. So I want to make sure that it starts from row 2. This blanks overwrite data. So essentially what this is let's say that I have a column with the new information in my spreadsheet. And in one of the fields, one of the cells is blank. The question here is, if there is blank field in that spreadsheet, do you want that to overwrite whatever data might be in that particular field in FIM? So if you literally want to blank out a field, you would check this box. The first radio button up here is profile, and if you look, there's 2 columns. So the first column on the left-hand side is the old value. So that old value is in my spreadsheet, and it's in column A, along with my address, city, and then the other column over here to the right is where the new data is. So column H, column J, my home phone number, I'm going to update the home phone number. You also have additional fields for profile information, along with email, cell phone, partner information. So the old value and the new value. Under grantee, you can import tax IDs and charity numbers into your grantee organizations or your vendors if you need to. And then you also have alternate address information. So all of this can be imported into the system. And when everything looks good, you're just going to click on OK. And then I get a report here, essentially that just tells me that there's no errors or no warnings. It's kind of a review of what I said I wanted to do at the bottom. And then if everything because of that, I can go ahead and click Run Update. Now, the report will let you know if there is an error that's preventing the data from being imported. It will not display any data regarding what the old value was and what the new value is. So you're probably thinking, well, where is that? So it's not going to show up on this particular report. You just, I guess, would have to trust that whatever you have put into your spreadsheet is what you want getting updated into FIMS. This is a good one for sure to try in your test and learn database. And I've just clicked on the Run Update button. And it's working. And then the resulting report at the end just tells me that 12 profile records were updated, and I didn't have any grantee records to be updated or alternate address records. And that's it. It's done. The information has been updated. All right. So that's an address maintenance update.
Robin, can we answer a quick question that was asked? For the
Sure.
import addresses
Yep.
updates, are the old values required to be in the import file?
Yes. But that's easy to get because you can export that information straight out of your data grid. So it's not like you'd have to manually put that information in there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is affiliation codes. So affiliation codes are probably one of the most powerful codes in FIMS from a profile perspective. And as such, they can probably get out of control faster than any other codes in the database as well. So affiliation codes are used to basically determine how that profile is affiliated with your organization. So there are some automatic affiliation codes that happen automatically. And I will just show you where that is determined. So tools, system utilities, system initial setup. So under, here we go, mailing setup. Automatic affiliation. So prospect, donor, applicant, grantee, and vendor is another one. It's just not here. So when you create a vendor record, it's automatically going to give it the affiliation code of vendor. So these happen automatically. But then you also have your user defined affiliation codes. Now, affiliation codes can be accessed under file maintenance. And in this case, I'm in the profile module, and that's where your affiliation codes are. So they're under profile code maintenance affiliations. So this happens to be what my particular affiliation codes looks like. You can use them to determine who was invited to events, who might have actually attended the event. And if you notice here, I have my events broken down by year. And the reason why I do that is if you notice on the far right-hand side, there's a column that says no. So anything that is previous to 20, and I need to update this. This one is no longer active because these are 2023. So I just double clicked on that affiliation code and unchecked the box. So they're no longer active. The nice thing about this, being able to mark your codes as inactive, the data is still there in your database. It's linked to all of the records that may have it. But if you're adding affiliation codes to a profile, when you click on that drop-down list, the codes don't show up. So this is my particular list of affiliation codes. So one of the things I do want to say, if there's a couple reports that you can run if you want to do some cleanup. This is also another good exercise to do with other people in the office because they may know about information about some of the affiliation codes that you may not necessarily know. So the first report, profile affiliation analysis. This is a great report because it actually gives you the number of profiles that have that particular affiliation code. So you can see several of my events affiliation codes were never assigned to any profiles. I have 194 profiles that are interested in the arts. That happens to be an affiliation code that I've added to the profiles. And I'll go down. Grantee has my grantees, there's 53 of them. So this tells you the number of people that have those affiliation codes, but then you might say, hey, okay, that's good. Who are these people? Who are the 34 people that have the affiliation code for the Friends Club? And that is profiles by affiliation. So this is going to sort it, and you can run this for all affiliations, which is what I just did because I didn't put any filter criteria. Or you could just pick one affiliation code if you think there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of them. But what it's doing here, like accountant, so I had one profile that had the accountant affiliation code. And then in this report, it tells me exactly who that is. So between these two reports, it should help you be able to look at them, determine, you may look at the list of affiliation codes and say, okay, there's some of these things we don't even know why they're on here. And when you run that profile affiliation analysis, they have a 0. So you could decide just to delete them. Now, let's say that there are affiliation codes that you don't have any idea why they were created. And even though they've been assigned to profiles, you don't necessarily care because you don't know what it is. The easiest way to mass remove affiliation codes from a profile is to mark that affiliation code as temporary. So that's step 1. So let me go back to my affiliation code table. So right here, if you notice, there's a column for temporary. So this one, I have no profiles that have been assigned this 2005 events, these ice cream socials. By marking it as temporary, under file maintenance, the very first item is delete temporary affiliation codes. So you can actually plug in the affiliation code you want to delete. And if it's a member affiliation code versus a group affiliation code, you can also say get rid of the group affiliation code. So I could come in here and say that I want to get rid of my 05 events because nobody has that code. But I want to keep my events group code because there are other years that have that affiliation code. Say okay. And there was no profiles, but if there had actually been profiles that were assigned, it would remove it from all the profiles. So you wouldn't manually have to go through and remove it from the profiles. Now, let's say that you wanted to just print a list of all of the affiliation codes that were in your database. So if you go to reports, and this also, this FIMS code listings applies to any of the user-defined code tables in your database. So if you look here under module, because I'm in the profile module, it's actually giving me the options for the code tables in profiles. So some examples would be address type, affiliations, relationships, contact types, county, profile grouping, business title. These are all user-defined code tables in your database. So I could click on select all, say okay, and run my report. This is going to give me a nice report with each of the code tables and the values in the code table. So this is a great tool here if you're trying to do some code cleanup in your user-defined codes in FIMS. And it gives you all your affiliation codes. You could pick just one code table if you wanted to, or you could choose all of them. All right. There's also one other thing I want to mention. So you might want to know if you have profiles in your database that don't have any affiliation codes. That might go towards helping you figure out dormant profiles, your dormant profiles as well. But if you go to profile listing and you click the drop down next to frequently used fields, there's an option here that says record. The very cool thing about this record is that I could say affiliations exist. I could just come in here and say no. So this is going to give me a list of all of the profiles in my database that do not have any affiliation codes. And I don't have any. The nice thing about that record is there is also gift history exists. You can actually run a report that shows you profiles that don't have any gift history. You also can filter by affiliations. So you could create a report that has the affiliation code of donor, but they don't have any gift history. So they have a donor record, they have the affiliation code of donor, but they don't have any gift history. And I don't have any of that either. So there's lots of different things. There's like grant history. There's a lot of different things that you can use here under the record to look at different groups of profiles. And in conjunction, you can also use the affiliation codes with it if you want to. You don't have to, but that is also an option. All right, so those user-defined codes, we were just looking at the ones in the profile module, but the other modules are all accessible from file maintenance. So if I was to go down to gifts here, let's see, donor and gift code maintenance. Here's my user-defined codes for the gift module. I have access to user-defined codes for the fund module. All of these user-defined codes, to make changes and update them, you're going to do that through file maintenance. And you can also run the report for any of those FIMS code listings, depending on which module you want. If you just click the drop down, so I can see that I have FieldMaker fields that I've created. So I want to see all of my FieldMaker fields. So these are my FieldMaker fields that I have created for my profiles. And you can see the funds module. So grants and scholarships, accounts payable. So you can run the report to show you those user-defined code tables and the values in them for any of those modules. All right. The next thing that I want to talk about here, there is a utility to update your telephone numbers. So in the profile record, your telephone numbers are right here. Let's say that people have not been putting them in the system in a consistent way. There is a little utility that you can use to clean those up, and that is under admin utilities, profile utilities, and it's called format phone numbers. So this little tiny box opens and you can choose which format you want your phone numbers to be in. Once you've formatted all your telephone numbers in your system, the nice thing about that is the next time somebody goes to enter a new phone number, it's going to auto format. They don't have to remember to type in the parentheses around the area code or the dashes or the periods, because it's automatically going to set that phone number up with that particular format. And then you just say apply. It's telling you what it's going to do. And it loops through and it tells you how many that were changed and where. Tells you which ones couldn't be updated. And it gives you a report. Now let me just move this. So if I refresh this particular view here, so now if you notice, my phone numbers are formatted exactly with the format that I chose when I updated them. All right, and I think that might be the last of them. If anybody has any questions, or we can turn it over to Amy.
That's great. Thanks so much, Robin. Leanne was able to answer some questions within our Q&A, and one of them was she actually shared documentation for combining profiles, and we'll be sure that that's included in our follow-up as well, so that everybody has that link to our knowledge base.
Amy, there is one question from Delise, that last one that you were going to answer live. Is it?
I believe, yeah, Robin covered that.
Not the last one. Not the last one.
Last one. Oh, is it possible to mass update affiliation codes to inactive?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say no. But I would have to verify that for sure. Delise, I'll get back to you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, Leanne, for bringing that to my attention. Are there any other questions anyone would like to? Oh, well, let's see. I think we got, oh, that's Delise. Delise said thank you. Okay. I don't believe there are any others there. I'm going to take back the screen. There we go. So I do have our contact information there. You can reach all of us through the FIMS@NPAC.com email, or my contact information is right there if you need additional help or additional guidance. I can show you the way there. I want to point out to please mark on your calendar May 8th. That's a Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time for our next Let's Talk Solutions. They will be every other month. So that we'll be skipping April. Also, please remember to help us nonprofit accelerate its impact. Stay in touch. Please connect with Impact on your social media. If you have any other questions, please reach out. But otherwise, I want to ask you all to have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us. Thanks all.
Bye, everybody.